good morning, everybody. It's Kevin from Goin Batty, and hey, I've got a rare opportunity. You guys know about our little garden that we're trying to start, that we're trying to refix. We're going to try to amend the soil down here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm going to spin it a little bit. But this place is just dry bones. It's got sand. It's tough. It's hard to break up. We've used all kinds of tools on this thing. Check this out. We've used the shovel to try to dig it up. We've used the the tiller to kind of rough the soil up. But ultimately, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to amend the soil and create some of our own soil because we don't have enough money to buy it per se. Um, and there's some alternatives that we can use. Good morning, Colette. How are you? And what one of the alternatives we're going to use is definitely in my wheelhouse because it makes Heather just gag every time she deals with it, and that's our worm farm. And so I'm going to take you through a kind of a gross process, which is using worm castings to begin soil, and it's not going to cover a very big spot. It is not going to be incredibly a large amount. It's just a small amount to get a corner of it started. It's not even remotely enough. But on a much larger scale with more worms, you could have a lot of great worm castings that could help amend your soil. And so we've kind of we're kind of learning, and I'm learning as I go. And this is just one of the steps to me trying this gardening thing out. Heather's a much better gardener than I am, and she knows some of the stuff that I don't know. So we're gonna show you one thing that we've started to do, which is here. Look down inside. You'll notice there are some wood shavings down there. Those wood shavings are from our rabbit, Mr. Pants, and rabbit poop is fantastic for gardens. You don't have to do anything to it, it's just automatically ready to go. And so we started putting that on our soil or on the spot, and we're going to continue to build it. The rabbit poops a lot, luckily. And if we use that rabbit poop, that's great for our garden. That's the you can just you can just stop there. But we're going to combine it with the worm castings, and we're going to try to make some. It may be a year before this is truly done, ready to rock and roll. But this is where we're going to start, and we're going to learn as we go. So I'm going to show you something that came out of the my worm farm. Let me show you my worm farm real quick. I'm going to just tilt things down. You won't be able to see me, but hopefully you'll be able to hear my voice okay. This is my worm farm minus the under part where the fluid is collected. Now that fluid, that moisture, that water is called worm tea, and it's everything that is gross that is in a liquid. This is not tea you drink. It is disgusting. It is gross. It smells awful, and it is not tea that you'd ever want to drink. But it's fantastic for your plants, and so we're gonna start by putting it in there. Hi, good morning, guys. I'm sorry I'm not saying good morning. Let me look at who's all here. Colette, wonderful, blessed life. How are you? So I'm gonna take this worm tea and I'm gonna pour it into the area that we're gonna get started. Like I said, you're not gonna necessarily be able to see me, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So let's get in here a little close. And the splash factor is important because this stuff is repulsive. This stuff, you couldn't get grosser than this, folks. So that's the area. This area right here is kind of where we're gonna start amending the soil. So there's some roots in there that we couldn't get cut out, but we're gonna pour that in just like that. And then we'll use that to collect some worms here in just a second. But that'll get us started, and it'll get that soil headed in the right direction, maybe. So let me step back here, and I'll put my can down. We're going to reverse the camera a little bit, and I'm going to show you some of the process that it takes our food to decompose through the worm farm. And again, I'm not an expert. I'm just learning as I go too. So let me have you look at that real quick. Spin you around here. There you go. That's our worm farm. Good morning, my revival. How are you? We're gonna look at. Oops, I'm tilty a little bit here. Sorry, guys. We're gonna look at the worm farm, and we're gonna pick some worms out of it. Let me get my thing level here. Sorry about jerking you guys around this morning. Okay, so this is the lid for it. Just pull the lid off, and the first part of it is pretty uneventful. It is essentially, it's essentially, um, it's just random stuff in there. You can see um, that are just, it's just like junk. I'm just gonna put that over here. Uh, then the next level, as you can see, is the next level of biodegraded material, and it basically works from the top down. Top down. So we're gonna take this. I forgot to get something to scrape it out with, and I'm not gonna use my hand. So I'm gonna see if my lovely bride will help me just with this part because I know how she feels about worms. Hey, honey, can you get me something to scrape with? Ah, my wonderful, beautiful bride is coming over here just momentarily for to hand me something. Good morning. You look beautiful.
Thank you. I'm going to eat your cat. He tore up my screen.
I know he's annoying. So anyway, we're gonna take this material, and we're gonna go ahead and just scrape it into. We're gonna completely clear out our worm farm and get all this material just down into one bucket and into one section of this garden to see if we can't start allowing it to help the soil. So we're gonna take this over to there. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see okay, but we're just gonna keep. I'm noticing that there's no worms in this. Any worms are gonna be taken out and put in that little bucket. So we're just getting that material. And we're noticing also if there's an overabundance of maggots because we don't want a whole lot of maggots in our worm farm. Okay, so that's the next level. Now check this out. This is gross. This is all the kind of grass and other material that's starting to decompose. And looking for worms. I just don't want, oh, there's a worm. So I don't want to put that in my garden yet. Although they will help the soil and we will have worms in our soil. I'm going to pick him out. You can see why this is a guy's job, right? No, it's not just a guy's job. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. It just takes a little bit. Hey, Plants Formation, how are you? This is a kind of a gross job, so you have to have a little bit of a stomach fortitude. So I'm gonna put him in my little bucket right here, and we'll get him back out in just a second. But we're gonna look for other worms in our worm farm. Oh, there's another one. To make sure. Oh, he did not want to be found. We're getting those out because we want to save them to work on the other stuff in our worm farm. Now this material isn't quite ready yet, so I'm actually going to move this to the bottom, and that's not good. We're not going to put that in the garden yet. But looky here. Look what I found here. There's some good material here that we can pour into start the garden. Let's see, paper in there. That's the other reason why you want to look through it in case somebody didn't do their job and they put paper in there. Paper is biodegradable. Plastic is not. I would recommend using a napkin or two or a paper towel every once in a while to add some stuff to it. But that is wormless. There's no worms in that. So we're going to take that and we're going to move it over into that little section right there to begin. See it? I know this is fascinating watching me clean out my worm farm, but it is part of the process, and I think it might help some of the grass. I'm not sure. It will help all of it, or not the grass, help the soil. So it smells terrible, but I think it's good for a lot of different things. That one's empty. We'll put that over there. And check out this last one. That is just downright full. And I believe that's probably where a lot of my worms are. Although we didn't start with a bunch of them, this has a lot of great material in it. Coffee grounds, eggshells, plant-like material. Just doesn't seem like we have enough. We might not have enough worms in here. And to be honest with you might want to think about getting some red wigglers, a lot of them, for your worm farm. I know we need more. I think that's probably what we're seeing here. Is this is probably a yeah, I'm not seeing any of my worms. I wonder if they've all escaped. Maybe the farm needed to be tended to more. It's interesting that there's no, I can't find any of the worms that are interesting, very interesting. That's why we do it, so we can learn, find where there might be issues. So far I've only found 2 of my worms. It's really weird. And I bought a whole bunch of red wigglers to put in here, and I'm not seeing them. That's gross. Well, that is, it looks like great material, and I think it could be some great material. So we're gonna, oh, I think I saw one, but only one. I mean, there were quite several. Luckily, Walmart sells red wigglers. You can get them on Amazon. And so we'll be doing some of that. But we also get them from our garden. And I think that's good too. But I'm not seeing any. That's interesting. So we we don't have any worms on our worm farm. Maybe that's why it's not working out so great. But we have a lot of other weird bugs, which I think are probably helping or not helping. I don't know. But that one's weird. I'm gonna scoot that away. So I'm gonna just pour this into our area over here. Hi guys, sorry I can't read your comments right now. My hands are full of icky, gross worm castings. So move that over there. Take this material and get it all. I want to start with an empty worm farm so that when we do get new worms, they're ready to go. All right, so that one's empty. And we're just gonna set it over here with the rest of them. That way we can rebuild our worm farm, but a little disappointed that that's all the worms that were in my worm farm. They must have escaped. It's interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and set these guys free, and we'll start with some new ones. So we'll get some new worms taken care of. They will not go, fly. Not good to make your worms fly, by the way. They don't have wings. That's funny. Oh, there he goes. Now, so trial and error, I think it applies to this because I was expecting a lot more worms. So I guess you learn something new with this gardening stuff every day. Found plastic that I needed to get out of there. That's a win. We emptied these bins out so we can start to let them decompose, and we'll get some new worms to help break down all the soil, and we'll check back after a while to see how they've broken down the stuff. We'll keep making worm tea and see what happens. Thanks for joining me, you guys. If you guys have any advice for worm farms specifically, please leave some questions and comments down below this video so that we can learn along with you guys. I'm in a learning process. I really have enjoyed learning more about the garden and what we can do to grow stuff. And here in a second, if I have enough help, I'll take you on a walk around the garden a little bit and show you some updates on things that are going on. But while we're doing this, I'm going to take you over. I'm going to show you how I'm going to rebuild our worm farm. Matter of fact, I'll just do it right here. So, forgive my empty table for a minute, but we're going to start with this. It's the material that I said wasn't quite ready, and we're just going to stack the empty ones on top of that. Just like that. and put it back onto its base. Now, I'm gonna have to line you up so you can see because I can't walk with the camera. So let me move it into place. Sorry, guys. And put it back onto its base. Now, I'm gonna have to line you up so you can see because I can't walk with the camera. That way you can kind of see what I'm gonna do. You can see the base a little bit from here. Zoom in a little. And you can see what I'm about to do, which is, see that green base over there? That is where all these are gonna stack, and that's where the worm tea is, or was. So I'm gonna go over there and leave it there so you can see. All right. So here we go. I'm walking around dog. Good morning, how are you? So that's a shot of my worm farm, and I'm gonna go put the lid on it real quick. There's seen a dog moms everywhere. So, well, like I said before, we'll have to get new, let me turn this around here for a second. We're gonna have to get new worms. We're gonna have to continue to feed it compost from the top down, and we'll rotate through so that the empty ones are always on gardening stuff. Let's see, Virginia says, you might want to think about making sure it stays out of the sun. The sun actually cooks worms. They like cool places. That's why they're in the ground. Absolutely, that's definitely a true. And there's actually there's some shade there, but we also when you touch that soil that was just there, that gross stuff I poured out, it's very cool to the touch. So that kind of, some of that soil kind of insulates them. So I'm hoping that we picked a good spot, because if you look here, let me move us around. If you look, that's in the shade quite a bit of the day. Either it's the shade of the garage or it's the shade of the tree. And so I think we've got a decent spot, but we'll play with it. We'll move it around. That's a good point, Virginia. I didn't think about that. Awesome. Guys, thanks for joining me on this Sunday morning. I know there's a lot that you guys could be doing. Hey, Angela. I'm sorry I didn't recognize your name, and I was flying by too quick. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you joined us. So yeah, I'm learning about, I'm teaching myself how to use a worm farm. And that's our worm farm. I just emptied it. We have this part of our house where we have this kind of useless space here. Let me zoom out a little bit, sorry. We have this kind of useless soil here, and we're gonna start amending it with rabbit poop and worm castings. And just here real quick, while I've got you guys on, I'm gonna rake that a little bit so it can stir it up a little bit, mix it up, and create some good stuff here. This is rabbit poop right here, but it's also mixed with those wood chips. We'll see if it's any good or not. I love rabbit poop. I know it has a lot of good benefits to it. I know worm castings do too, and I'll be interested to see if that makes any difference in the coming months. So that'll kind of give us a start, and we'll see what we can do with it. Again, this is a Kevin job, not a Heather job, because she just does not like the worm farm smell. So she leaves the worm farming to me, which I can't blame her for. It is kind of gross. You don't want to wear your Sunday best while you're worm farming, because it gets on your hands. It's stinky. It's kind of gross. It's just, it's just kind of a weird concept. You use worms, but Old Alabama Gardener has a great worm castings video that's way got a ton of knowledge in it. And we don't know everything, so we're always learning from people. And right now, the Old Alabama Gardener is teaching the Goin Batty clan a lot about gardening and other things. So I would encourage you guys to check out Old Alabama Gardener. Also, Big Family Homestead has a great video about this particular kind of worm farm, and there's a lot to be learned out there on the YouTube channels about gardening and all that kind of stuff. So I would highly recommend checking that out, guys. Thanks for being on with me these 20 minutes. Would love to hear your comments about worm farms and learn some knowledge that you have. The cool place was a great idea, Virginia. I'm gonna work on finding a good place for that, and just would love some more feedback about how to amend this soil and how to make our own soil, which we're doing. So before I go, I just wanted to give you guys a little tour of our garden and how it's doing. I know Heather would want to be here, but the worm farm thing is grossing her out. So anyway, this is the sandy, hard soil that we're dealing with. If you look, it is very much not a place for us to grow anything. Possibly strawberries. I don't know if there's any. There's not a whole lot of nutrients, and I think the soil testing proved that we were right, and there's not much to do with it. We've got some cleanup work to do in the corner there still, but anyway, let's go on a walk. Here's kind of weeds that I have to pull soon, and check out this kale. I started this in my office, and it has just gone gangbusters, man. I love the fact that we're growing our own kale, and I want to get some more kale plants in here. Thanks to Living Like Claire, I am a kale fan now. She has definitely helped me out. It's been awesome. That's the kind of biomaterial too that you can use in your worm farm. And there's Walter. Walter's on the prowl. He's gonna go in the garage, and I'm gonna have to fish him out of there. But hey, Mass Faith 3, what's up? How you doing? Add leaves. Strawberries are great, shallow rooted, cold temperature tolerant. Leaves, wood chips, keep it cool. Yes, I agree. And we don't have a whole lot of that right now, but we've got some compost pile going that I think would be really awesome over there. Check this out. This is all watermelon. They're too close together. We've got to spread them out. This is from a watermelon that we ate and bought, and we dumped the seeds out, and it just randomly started growing. So we're leaving it alone and gonna see what God's gonna do with it. This is Mr. Pants' vacation house. He comes out here to vacation when he has time off, so that he can enjoy the outdoors. Rosebush and stinkweed. Gina loves stinkweed, so apparently we're keeping it around for some reason. No, here's compost pile number 1. I probably stir that before I go inside, so Heather doesn't have to. Comfrey, you gotta love Comfrey, guys. I mean, Comfrey has amazing things. Yeah, Virginia, that's true. We do need to let the wood chips sit a year or two before we put them on our garden. And this flower bed that we're working on is probably not going to be ready until next year. So we're really going to allow it to just get, to get watermelon roots are sensitive when moving. I have heard that, and we're going to be careful with it. But those are kind of an experiment. We have real watermelons. I'll show you in just a second. Watermelon plants. But with that particular garden over here, that one is going to be one that we take our time on, and it will be a year before we do it. But I think if we keep dumping biodegradable things in there, we can stir it up, we can get the soil amended, and then the cost of getting topsoil will be a lot less. So this is compost pile number 2, and it's much further along. We still have to keep it going. It rained a lot, so we got some benefit there. But I think we just got to continue to stir it. I know there's probably more to learn, but those wood chips have been sitting for about 6 months, and I think they need to sit a little while longer. There's some more. There's some more that needs to happen there. But again, this comfrey grows like you can't kill it. I mean, we've done a lot to this comfrey over the years, and that just stuff keeps coming back. All right, so I believe now I'm forgetting. This is where Heather would come in handy, but I believe this is a melon of some kind. Good point. We burned up our. Be careful with watermelon. Oh yeah. Good point. We burned up our strawberry roots one time. Put wood chips without letting them cool first. Well, that's the plan at this point. Um, Here's our melons, and I think those are melons too. Forgive me for not knowing. I think some of that's comfrey though. Like I said, it's hard to kill. But this is our squash. Those are some of our watermelons, and I think that's zucchini. One of them zucchini, one of them squash. Onions. Those are. We've barricaded this thing, and things are still getting into it. But I think we'll see what happens. That's kind of an experiment too. Check this out though. Walter's in our garage somewhere. Sorry. Check this out though. Walter. Oh well. Anyway. Um, Check out these green beans. Look at these plants. Isn't that amazing? We're real happy with the way they're turning out. Um, there's probably too many plants in one area, so we're gonna have to thin them out a little bit and move them around. But wow, that is amazing. Is it possible to transplant green bean plants? I guess it's possible to transplant any plant, but it just seems like a lot of plants all in one spot. But these are enjoying it. They're getting healthy. What do you guys think? Should we thin them out a little bit? Maybe. Let me know what you think. So this is all fence line that we're going to use for future gardening extravaganzas. Um, Cucumbers growing out of our bale of hay. Getting there, getting there. Um, this is a kind of a cool thing here. This is, let's see, peppers, tomatoes, peppers, red bell peppers, and I believe banana peppers. But right here are our achachas. Look at those things. They're just growing. I love it. It's so exciting. I can't wait to try an achacha. There's our kale stuff. Look at the kale. Oh my goodness. We'll have to plant that in other places because we don't have the soil ready in the other spot yet. But man, that's downright scary how much kale that's going to be. We're going to split that up maybe even today. I'll talk to Heather when she gets back. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Transplanting should be done earlier than later. Sometimes you rip the roots and they don't make it. Okay, Virginia, thank you. Never used comfrey. Help ease joint inflammation and to heal burns, bruises, and muscle strains. Europeans have long used it for treating inflammatory conditions like arthritis and gout. I've heard there's incredible medicinal value in uh, in comfrey. Copied it. Awesome. That's awesome. She's like, I copied it because now listen, I know Mass Faith 3, you guys are amazingly smart. So you could take full credit for that. And I would believe it because of how much you guys know. Anyway, pepper, um, cucumbers, they're even growing beyond the chicken wire. So that's going to create a problem for us. We're going to have to address this today because it's growing above our chicken wire. And I broke that. So we will address that today. Because we got to keep the critters out. We've got to keep them out. They want to eat all of our stuff. So we'll get the Goin Batty kids out here. And Heather had some dill planted, and it got ate big time because she didn't protect it. And I think that's probably the key phrase is you've got to protect your plants when you're in the city. There are so many rodents, especially raccoons, and even more so, there are a ton of squirrels. So let's walk to the front and we'll see what's up there. Feel free to throw me down some more wisdom. There's Walter. Walter. He's a tiger. He's on the prowl. Let's see if he'll let me pet him. Hi, buddy. How are you? Yeah. He's sniffing the worm farm. He's like, do you have to pet me with your stinky hand? It's funny, all the people driving by in the city are like, why is that guy talking to his camera? Heather's home, so I need to ask her about a couple of things when she comes. I'll motion her this direction. Hey, Goose's Landing, how are you? Yeah, the bales are an interesting idea because what we'll do with them is we'll let them grow our food this time, but we'll also let them break down and we'll add them to our compost, and that'll create more soil for us. So that's kind of where we're at. Goose's Landing, I'm good, but I'm giving everybody a garden tour. I just got done playing with worm castings, and I don't know if you know this lady, but isn't she pretty? I know, I was talking to them about if you could transplant the green beans out because they're too close together. Mass Faith 3, Virginia, Goose's Landing, a whole bunch of people are on. Come on over for a second. That's right. So we were talking about this this setup. We're going to fix this today because it's just not working with, it's encroaching on the plants. This is happening the way we wanted it to, though. We wanted it to grow up the fence.
To have a little more kind of room out.
Yeah, so we'll take care of that. If you want to set that stuff down and come back out and join us, we're going to finish the tour up. But these bales of hay.
I got one.
What is that, sweetheart?
That is a
cucumbers, yeah, Mass Faith 3.
No, that's not cucumber. That is a cantaloupe. It's
That's a
the
cantaloupe.
one seed that the squirrels didn't eat.
That's right, the one cantaloupe.
Eat that plant.
Yes, and that's our guard tiger right there.
I'm gonna eat that cat. He keeps pulling my screen out.
He wants to be outside. He lives for being outside. All right, so here's our here's another space that we could turn into a garden. This area right here, we were thinking about doing a raised flower bed in, but again, it goes back to, do we have the soil for it? And it might be a year before we can get to it. It might be a while. You know what I mean? It might be. We have a couple of things, but check out these incredible tomato plants. Look how tall these are. They've even got green tomatoes started on them. These are amazing.
Tomatoes.
Let's get in close so you can see them.
Right there.
Nope, I can't see them. Hold on.
I can't.
There you go. Yep, there you go. Great big tomatoes. Even the small ones are big now.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
These are my Amish paste tomatoes. The ones back here.
Now, is this Leah or Michelle on Mass Faith 3? Let me know.
Or Patriot Mom.
PG.
PG.
I don't know what that means. Anyway, that is a beautiful tomato plant. Do you have any? Yeah, that even all of them have tomatoes on them, or at least flowers.
Something going on down here.
Yeah.
Break that off so it doesn't spread to the rest.
What is that? Kale right there?
Kale right here. Yeah, that was from last year.
That's awesome. We've got a couple places where we got kale randomly growing. Check out this parsley, guys. This is amazing. That is a huge, beautiful plant.
And we used some of it the other day.
Yeah.
For cooking.
And it's great on salads too. Yeah. I've been eating it on my salad. Hey, by the way, I've lost, 20 pounds? 22 pounds? I'm down to 305. Goal weight is to get to 295 and then keep going. How's that basil doing, Mom? It looks a little yellow there.
I think that this basil here...
Is that going to seed out on you?
Actually, it's getting ready to start to, but you can still use it. I think that yellow is because right here actually is really wet.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't realize that when I planted, because if you look at this basil, like, it's not quite as yellow, but that's still kind of wet too, because that's where the drain comes down. But it's still usable. I mean, I've used it in pasta salad and...
It's Jean.
Jean. Oh, Jeannie.
Jeannie.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's Mom.
Hi, Danny69. How are you? We're doing a garden tour, but I was also working on my worm farm, and I kind of took a second. Biannually, stay on top of your Facebook posts. Got it. Okay. All right, check this out. There's more over here. That's wet too.
Yeah. So I mean, it still is doing
We're gonna have to cook more things with basil, Mom.
Yeah. Well, I got it because that one didn't look like it was going to survive for a while because something kept eating it.
Yeah, and then what's back there? That's
These are my
sage.
onions and sage.
Sage.
And
And
this
garlic's
is-
here too somewhere.
No, well, the garlic is here by accident because I
Okay.
told the boys to go break apart the cloves and plant the garlic, and they threw the whole like
Caboodle right there.
the whole thing right here. So,
But look at this. This
Yeah.
was a fun mistake. This was horseradish.
yeah.
And that horseradish is now turning into a big, beautiful plant. So there's some good things happening in the garden. We're pretty excited about them. And we're glad that you guys came on a tour with us. Let's go back to the backyard real quick. And I'll have Heather explain a couple of those plants that I didn't know what they were. And you guys can come along with us or you can click off. But by all means, remember to leave those comments down at the bottom about suggestions you might have for our garden or worm farm. Partially horseradish, basil, biannual dries well in the oven to stay green. With
I
the
also have-
dieting, anybody else wants to know, chip tip is good, but I've learned putting a spoonful or two of apple cider vinegar in a water bottle helped me lose weight. Oh, interesting. Okay. So,
I know that's supposed to also help if you have problems with acid reflux.
we're gonna have to break up that kale today because
Well, I
it's.
don't have any place to. I
Well,
guess we
we'll
can
put it along the.
here.
We'll put it with the other kale over there.
There's pooping in your flour.
Oh, jeez. Thanks, Walter. He's adding to our garden.
Did you need to know what these were?
No, over here,
Oh,
sweetheart.
okay.
Those are cha-cha-cha-chas.
Yeah.
I forget which melons are which.
Okay.
So I know this is squash and I know this is zucchini.
Yeah. this is
That's
yellow
watermelon.
squash, yellow, zucchini.
Sorry, guys.
Watermelon, and then these are watermelon, and I have comfrey growing up through it.
Yeah.
So, watermelon seeds that were growing in our compost pile, and I transplanted.
And there's
them.
more over here. We're growing weeds and
Well,
stinkweed
no,
because
this is lemon balm,
oh, lemon balm,
and then this is chocolate peppermint.
chocolate peppermint.
Yeah, chocolate mint. It has a chocolate mint smell to it.
And we went ahead and planted it, even though we know it's invasive.
Yeah, because we need it in that area because there's a lot of other stuff that's taken
Yeah.
over.
But here's some more watermelon.
Yeah,
This is the true experiment right here.
that was growing in our compost pile, and we just threw it there to see what it'd do.
Yep. But yeah, that explains. What else do we have down there? It just looks like
Nothing.
random weeds.
That is not weeds. Those are black-eyed Susans.
Black-eyed
down there.
Susans. And then there's our guard tiger. He's like, a new place to poop. Watch out, there is dog poop here somewhere,
I know.
Heather. So, guys, that's our garden and what we've got cooking right now. Thanks for joining me this morning. I know worm farming is probably not the best smelling situation, but we do want to find new ways of getting this garden ready for next year. And that's one of the ways we're going to do it. So I heard the message loud and clear that these wood chips have to sit for a year. And we will, if we can't afford to buy soil, we will look for free manure in certain places. We will look for deals on topsoil, and we'll just start mixing it all together so that this will be a big old vat of fun happiness for next year when we go to plant our garden again. Let me turn you around real quick.
Stepping in stuff.
I'm learning the poop's back here. Watch yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
I'm learning a lot right now. This is a learning time for me. Heather's a great teacher, and she's been teaching me a lot about just how to plant, what to plant, where to plant, and it's been a journey for us. It's interesting because we want to get to the point. You know, we have this term we use called future food, and it's how we feed our family. It's how we get food ready for storage. It's let's see, our manure is hot, but we have lots of it if you want any. 5-gallon buckets would help. We have a ton of 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll talk to you guys soon because
Yeah.
we could use some of that manure.
And throw it in here and just let it.
And let it
It
permeate.
might offend our neighbors. Be like, what's that smell?
Hi, Christy. How are you? Well, you know, I'm not worried about that as much as I am just getting the
Sorry,
soil
I've got-
ready. That's a funny face. I hope that's
Got a
our.
hair.
I hope that's
There.
our thumbnail for
Okay,
this
there you
video. I'd love for that to be our thumbnail for this video.
Awesome.
That would just make me so happy. It doesn't really stink. So that's good.
Well, no, their manure doesn't stink. Remember, we've been to their house.
My poop doesn't stink.
But we've been to their house, and the way
Yeah.
that they do it, like that was one of the. Michelle was like, "That's the." No, it was yeah, it was Michelle. She's like, "That's the best compliment you could ever give me. That our pigs don't stink. Like their
Yeah.
pigs don't stink.
They don't. It's really cool.
So yeah.
So anyway, we will take you up on that offer, and we will be by with some 5-gallon buckets here in the week to come or so.
Yeah.
Put this year's grass clippings on that area, and it will help you.
Okay.
We actually don't collect our grass clippings. We're trying. Our lawn needs to be what's the word?
Leveled.
Not just leveled, but it's also got a ton of weeds growing into it. So it
Yeah.
also needs to kind of.
It's got ivy in it, and we
Yeah.
don't want to put ivy into.
Yeah.
Because ivy is evasive too. I hate.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but I hate it.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think what we're gonna try to do is start spreading grass seed to let it, because grass is actually an invasive plant.
Yeah.
And we're gonna let grass take back over our yard, which is a odd concept, but something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of our tour. That's our life and we've some projects that we've got coming up. Now, I'm not saying we won't do another live thing today, but that's it for now. Please like, subscribe, comment below about gardening tips and manure tips and building up our soil. You saw our compost piles. They're not quite ready yet, but boy, they're close.
And if you guys have like suggestions and stuff, like it's really great to have Miss Jeannie on here from
That's right.
Mass Phase 3.
She knows
because
it. She knows a lot.
They know a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so.
they're wise.
Hi, Miss Jeannie.
wise folks. And Angela De Jesus was watching
Oh,
earlier.
was she? Yeah, she knows a lot of
and
stuff,
we've
too.
just got a great group of people. So
Yeah.
Rosalie is on.
Hey, Goose's
Michelle,
Landing.
Goose's Landing. Just a great group of people this morning.
Yeah.
Hi
guys.
I'll be honest with you, we're not around Sunday mornings very much, but we had a very long week at Spirit Song, and we are live at 1:00 European News. Oh yeah,
okay.
cool,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
cool, yeah. We had a very long week. I went to Spirit Song. Heather was there. We were there all for 3 days, and it was
Yeah.
like an 11-hour day. It was very long, and so
One of our teenagers just got out of bed like a half hour ago. She was pretty tired.
the Goin Batty teenager.
I think I tracked it, and I walked something like, in the 3 days, I walked something like 10 miles all
Wow.
around.
I had
So-
I think I didn't track it by miles, but I tracked it by steps.
My thing tracks it
Yeah.
like, how many
I
miles
had
you did.
11,000 steps the first day. I had 10,000 steps the second day, and then I had 8,000. Did you notice how they got slower and slower? I have,
Quarter-sized blisters on his skis.
yeah. So I basically had church for 3 days, and so we're taking today off so that we can just rest and rejuvenate and get back into the swing of a pretty big week for us that's coming up. So signed a landscaper. Find a landscaper. They need places to dump it. That's not a bad idea. It really isn't. I don't like the idea of just us doing wood shavings only, because I want to see if we could kind of create this kind of mix of compost and poop and worm castings and all this kind of stuff. But that little corner is a good start.
Well,
and it'll break down quick.
I need to ask a question.
Sure.
Just so that I understand. Like a compost pile, like we have two. And like right now we have one that's kind of just setting and we're turning it, and the other one is what we're adding stuff into. So I was told like let it set a year before you put it on your garden. Now is that correct, or can it be less? Because if it's less, because that one has set for, I don't know, maybe
6 months.
6 months.
But
And
I
we
don't
could
think
start
it's-
putting that in here too.
It doesn't look
Oh,
like the
wait.
wood chips broke
Yeah, it's
down
for
enough.
chemical-free leaf grass clippings from our neighbors.
Grass feeds pigs.
Yep.
Nice. That's a good idea. I think that the wood chips need to break down more.
Yeah.
Because they don't look like they're quite ready yet. I mean, it doesn't have that kind of.
Well, there's wood shavings in there too.
No, and
so-
we're gonna let that break down.
Okay.
And we'll just. I mean, this whole thing, as I was telling them, this might not be a year until we can use it.
Yeah.
But if it isn't, then that's a small area, and we'll cover the rest with horse poop, pig poop, not chicken poop, because chicken poop has to break down.
Yeah. Not people poop, because that's just gross.
Or dog poop.
Well,
Or
we
Walter
got cat.
poop.
And
I was gonna say Walter poop.
Let
I'm
the
not sure
kids
what
go
that'll
in and
do.
sift it out. So
Hey, the more the merrier. Who knows?
that's just gross.
Everything poops. What are you gonna do?
Yep.
So keep educating us. I've got to clean up my worm farm. Heather's not gonna have anything to do with that because the worm farm is gross.
It stinks.
It smells awfully terrible.
Yeah.
And besides, it sounds like a teenager's job.
No, that's your job. It's your worm farm.
Yes, but I have worm workers. You know how many worms I found on my worm farm?
How many?
2.
Where are all your worms?
They left.
Where did they go?
They're on strike. They bailed. There were only
Did they
2.
all die?
Hi, Rosalie. 1 year is a good ballpark when you're working with compost piles.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rosalie.
Yep, thank you. So yeah, all of my worms have retreated.
Did they die?
They weren't dead, and well, they might have been dead. I mean, all there was brown. Yeah,
Worms
black.
break down house compost. Yes.
Yes.
We've been putting
our coffee grounds, eggshells,
any of our
vegetable
like,
clippings, like vegetable.
Like when you pull off the outside of the lettuce and it's kind of weird. And
we feed some of it to our rabbit, like
Mr.
the
Pants
broccoli
eats a lot of
cores. He loves the broccoli cores. It's like it's like a big treat. But for us, I think we've been trying to maintain that and just rotating it through. So that, but I'm out of worms, so now I got to go get more worms.
Why don't you just order them on Amazon and get like 80 billion worms and put them in your worm farm?
I don't have $80 billion. That's why.
Yes, but I don't think they're $1 a worm.
They're expensive. If you put the 6-month one on now, next year it would be perfect. That's true.
That's true.
We did talk about that, and one of our biggest things is we got to get a wheelbarrow.
Oh,
we don't have a wheelbarrow.
I gotta tell you, I saw this thing the other day where it's a collapsible wheelbarrow. It's almost like it almost looked like a rain poncho, but you laid it on the ground so it was easier to shovel in, and then you picked it up and you hooked the sides, like the front part of it, you hooked it on, and then you could just take it and you could either dump it or you could lay it flat and then pull it up the other way by the wheel and dump it into where you
That sounds really cool. I saw a statement come up. You can use shredded paper in the pile with no color wax. We did know that, and we've used different kinds of paper, like tissue paper, paper towels, that kind of thing, and coffee filters that are not bleached.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah, that's smart stuff. But that sounds really cool. That sounds like an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'll have to show it to you. I can't remember where I saw it.
That's all right. But anyway, I think we'll sign off for now.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. And I can't promise we won't go live again today because we have our phones and we're YouTubers.
I have to do a meal plan first.
We do have to do a meal plan, and we have to fix some wiring. But we're not going to go shopping today. My feet can't handle it.
No. I don't take him grocery shopping with me very often. He whines. So, and we wind up buying more stuff than we need because he's like, I'll find things in my cart, and I'm like,
that's not on the plan.
No, I didn't do that.
It's on the Kevin plan. Sometimes it's a good thing, and you know it. You're
like,
okay, we could have used that.
Yeah.
Newspaper, paperwork. If it's just black ink,
okay.
Okay. Cool.
So all of the school paperwork after we're done, I can go into.
That's a project coming up this week.
I know.
I'm telling you. Take a relaxing stroll this afternoon. I'm planting sunflowers. Oh, that sounds cool. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. If you're new to our channel, welcome. And hey, as always, more updates as we go.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye, you guys.